What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TGB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. This is going to be a little bit interesting. We have a pseudo studio audience of people watching the draft. If I start laughing, it's probably because it's just funny recording with people in the room. But, you know, obviously, if you guys don't know, hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see Ravens content every single day, and hit the notification bell as well if you want to be notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, with all of these draft picks, I am uploading my instant reactions to all these picks. So, you know, I'm going to be, talking about what I think the Ravens should do, but please let me know what you think the Ravens did and how well they did it. You know, do you love the pick? Do you dislike the pick? Who do you think the Ravens should go after? Now, the biggest players available right now are David Ojabo, edge rusher out of the University of Michigan, George Pickens, wide receiver out of Georgia, Nakobe Dean, linebacker out of Georgia. Those are kind of the biggest names that I've seen, connected to the Baltimore Ravens. Also, guys that I really like Troy Anderson. I think he will slide a little bit into the third round potentially, so I don't see a major possibility with them going with him there. There's a lot of players the Baltimore Ravens could be going with this selection. My big hope is wide receiver. And that wide receiver would be George Pickens. I made a video a while back talking about how he is a must-draft player, and that was before they traded Hollywood Brown. Now that they have traded Hollywood, the biggest thing right now is being able to replace that production, and George Pickens, I feel like, is the best guy for that opportunity. I'm getting a thumbs up from the people in the background, so, hopefully they think my analysis is spot on. But there's also a guy like Travis Jones who's available, who I think could become the best defensive tackle in this draft as a nose tackle with very strong forces, ability to rush the passer in addition to plug up that hole. I see right now they're actually playing highlights of David Ojabo and actually getting the injury he had. But, the biggest connection the Ravens have is, Mike Macdonald coming over from, 1 year as the defensive coordinator at Michigan underneath John Harbaugh's brother Jim, coming back to the Baltimore Ravens. So a lot of people connected him with the Ravens in the first round. This could be something similar to, when the Ravens drafted Orlando Brown Jr., he was connected to the Baltimore Ravens in the first round, and then he had the poor combine. They ended up snagging him in the third round. Could be a similar story if they end up going with David Ojabo, a guy projected to them in the first round because of a connection. Orlando Brown had his father who was drafted by the Ravens. Then we have a guy who was really brought up by Mike Macdonald, who's now the Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator. There's a couple of guys that could really go here, but for me, I think it should be George Pickens, but David Ojabo, I'm not going to be disappointed with it whatsoever. But, hopefully they continue to have a fantastic draft. I believe Matt Stover is making this selection. I think he's walking out right now. Hopefully he doesn't talk as long as the Vikings guy did, even though it was very funny. But it's going to cause a lot of stalling from me if he, isn't going to say it right away, but it looks like he is, which shout out to Matt Stover. So with the 45th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select David Ojabo, edge rusher out of Michigan. The Ravens need an edge rusher. They need that number 2, even though he's coming off of a torn Achilles. He's a guy that was projected to be maybe a 4th or 5th round pick coming into last season, and then Mike Macdonald took over as the defensive coordinator, turned that 81st ranked defense into the number 2 ranked defense in the country, right behind the Georgia Bulldogs. They got into the college football playoff game. They unfortunately got absolutely hammered, but you know what? They got there because of that defense, and it was behind Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo. Without that injury, he is a first-round pick. He's probably a top 15 pick. A lot of people saw him as the 4th best edge rusher in the class, ahead of Jermaine Johnson, ahead of George Karlaftis. So, I think it's a really solid pick. Obviously, I would have loved for them to go wide receiver, but they still have a couple of other picks that they could trade up and get another player, in that second round if they feel like they really value a guy like a George Pickens, or, maybe they really like Tyquan Thornton late in the third round. We'll see who they end up liking, who they end up going with. But, guys, let me know what you guys think about David Ojabo. Welcome to Baltimore. We thought he'd be the first-round pick for the Ravens, and I was all right with that. But now, second-round pick for the Ravens. Could it be another Orlando Brown Jr. steal based off of, some pre-draft shenanigans that went on, hopefully. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content, and I'll see all of you again later today with the next first-round pick, or next second-round pick, or third-round pick, whatever the Ravens